What if everything you've been taught about discipline is wrong? What if the very thing you've been striving for, structure, control, rigid habits, is actually holding you back from true success? Today, we dive into one of the most controversial figures in history, Niccolò Machiavelli, the man who challenged conventional wisdom and offered a blueprint for ruthless, unapologetic ambition. In this video, we're going to explore why being disciplined, often seen as the foundation of success, might actually be the worst thing you can do if you want to achieve greatness. Now, I know what you're thinking. Discipline is key to productivity, right? It's what keeps us focused and driven. But what if this unwavering commitment to self-control is, in fact, the very thing that holds you back from real power? The very thing that makes you predictable, stagnant, and easy to outmaneuver. In his iconic work, The Prince, Machiavelli warned leaders not to fall into the trap of rigid morality and discipline. Instead, he argued that true power lies in adaptability, manipulation, and the ability to act without hesitation, especially when circumstances change. You see, discipline can make you a prisoner of your own rules, while flexibility and the will to adapt are what separate the successful from the mediocre. So buckle up. This isn't your usual self-help advice. This is a deep dive into why letting go of that iron grip on discipline could be the key to unlocking a life of unimaginable success. Machiavelli's ideas will challenge your thinking, disrupt your routine, and reveal the uncomfortable truth that you might be following the wrong path altogether. Section 1. The illusion of discipline. We've all heard it before. Discipline equals success. Discipline is what separates the winners from the losers. But what if these widely accepted statements are misleading? What if discipline, in its traditional sense, is actually the very thing that prevents us from reaching our fullest potential? Take a moment to reflect on the routines you've built. The early mornings, the strict diets, the unyielding commitment to deadlines. It all seems so orderly, right? But Machiavelli would argue that this devotion to discipline can trap you in a cage of predictability. Discipline creates boundaries, limitations, and a sense of security, but it also makes you less flexible and more vulnerable to those who are willing to break the rules. In the world of power and ambition, the predictable, disciplined individual is like a book that can be read from cover to cover. While others are adapting, improvising, and pivoting when necessary, the disciplined person is busy following the same script, unaware that the world around them has changed. Machiavelli often advised that leaders must be willing to break away from traditional moral codes, and that's because those codes, discipline included, can make you too rigid. When you follow a set routine without deviation, you miss out on opportunities to change course, adapt to new circumstances, or take bold actions that might defy conventional wisdom. Section 2. The Power of Adaptability. Machiavelli's The Prince presents a world of politics and power, where leaders must constantly shift their strategies to stay one step ahead. Discipline by nature limits your ability to change. It binds you to a single path, a fixed set of actions, leaving little room for creativity or evolution. Adaptability, on the other hand, opens up a world of possibilities. Imagine for a moment you're in a business negotiation or a tense political situation. You're following your disciplined approach. You've prepared, you've done your homework, and you're sticking to your plan. But your opponent sees that you're predictable, and they start making unexpected moves. Their flexibility allows them to change strategy, to manipulate the situation in their favor. Meanwhile, you remain rooted in your disciplined ways, unable to pivot. You're stuck, trapped by your own structure. This is precisely what Machiavelli warned against. He understood that power comes not from sticking to the rules, but from knowing when to break them. Those who are adaptable, who can read the room and shift their approach at the right moment, are the ones who gain the upper hand. The disciplined individual, shackled by their own habits, may find themselves left behind. Section 3. The dangerous predictability of discipline. One of the most dangerous aspects of being disciplined is how predictable it makes you. In any power dynamic, whether in business, politics, or even personal relationships, predictability is a vulnerability. When your actions can be anticipated, you lose the element of surprise. A critical weapon in any power struggle. Machiavelli was a master of understanding human nature, and one of his key insights was the idea that successful leaders must maintain an air of unpredictability. This is the essence of his famous maxim: it is better to be feared than loved. Fear arises from unpredictability. When people cannot predict your next move, they begin to respect your power, even if they don't fully understand your methods. Consider the leaders who have shaped history, from Machiavelli's own time, like Cesare Borgia, to modern figures like Steve Jobs. These individuals were not defined by rigid discipline. Instead, they understood that unpredictability could keep their competitors and adversaries on edge, forcing them to stay reactive, not proactive. By embracing flexibility and changing strategies when necessary, they were able to outmaneuver their opponents, maintain control, and hold on to power. The disciplined person, locked into their habits and routines, would never have been able to match this level of dynamic strategy. Section 4, the art of deception and manipulation. Discipline also has a dangerous side when it comes to how it limits your ability to manipulate situations in your favor. In The Prince, Machiavelli talks at length about the importance of appearances, manipulation, and deception. Discipline, by its very nature, is transparent. It's a set of actions that can be observed, tracked, and predicted. The disciplined person has no room for deception, and that's a major flaw in the pursuit of power. Machiavelli's teachings suggest that leaders must often deceive, appearing virtuous when necessary, and ruthless when the situation calls for it. Discipline forces you into one mold, one way of being, making it hard to hide your true intentions or switch between personas when needed. In the world of power, flexibility is everything. You need the ability to move through different social situations, to blend into various environments, and to manipulate others without revealing your true motives. The disciplined person, however, remains stuck in their rigid structure. Their honesty, predictability, and consistent routine can work against them in the cutthroat world of power dynamics. Section 5. Discipline and the trap of moral high ground. One of the most common traps that disciplined individuals fall into is the belief in moral superiority. Discipline often comes with a sense of moral clarity. You follow the rules, stick to your principles, and avoid temptation. But Machiavelli understood that in the pursuit of power, morality is a luxury you cannot always afford. Machiavelli's advice was blunt: the ends justify the means. This controversial maxim teaches that when it comes to achieving your goals, the path you take is secondary. Discipline, often linked with moral righteousness, can blind you to the necessity of breaking the rules or bending them when the situation demands it. Let's face it, the world is not always black and white. If you find yourself in a high-stakes situation where your disciplined, moral approach limits your options, you may miss opportunities to achieve greatness. By clinging to the idea that you must always act within the confines of discipline, you are essentially tying one hand behind your back. Section 6. The role of fear in power. Now let's return to one of Machiavelli's most notorious ideas, the importance of fear. Most disciplined individuals operate in a mindset where they avoid causing discomfort or upsetting others. They seek approval and avoid confrontation. But in the world of power, this is a fatal flaw. Machiavelli argued that fear is a far more effective motivator than love or admiration. Fear creates respect. Fear makes others cautious. Fear ensures that people will not challenge you or attempt to undermine your authority. When you're disciplined, you might seek to be liked, to be respected for your consistency and reliability. But that makes you vulnerable to those who know how to wield fear and leverage uncertainty. Consider the difference between a dictator who rules through fear and a well-liked politician who follows the rules. The dictator, despite being feared, has ultimate control because their unpredictability and ruthlessness keep others in line. The politician, though admired for their discipline, remains constrained by public expectations and is unable to exercise the same level of authority. Section 7. The final verdict. So why is discipline the worst thing you can do, according to Machiavelli? It's because it confines you, limits your options, and makes you predictable. In a world where power is fluid, constantly shifting, and deeply dependent on context, flexibility, adaptability, and the ability to manipulate situations are the traits that lead to true success.